Hey, this is Joel from Flux Digital Marketing, and today I want to share a little behind the scenes with exactly how we create content at Flux for our clients. I want to show you what I call our 3D content method, and what it is just a foolproof way for creating content where it isn't a guessing game. So if you feel like you're always reacting on what do I create content about next, or I don't feel like I have a clear strategy, or my content isn't converting or working, these three components and having all of them will really help. Most people have one, some people have two. Very rarely do I see people have all three, and this is what makes content a huge piece of what it makes it so successful. So by the end of this, you'll know exactly what type of content to create going forward, and I'm going to sketch it out for you along the way. I am a terrible artist and even worse writer, so bear with me on that, but we'll give it our best shot here, okay? All right, so this is what we are going to start with, and in the middle here, you have the core of it, okay? And the core is going to be your content categories, all right? So those categories are things like, for us, it's either centered around your main services, your products, or these main ways that you help your clients or customers. So for us, it's things like content marketing, blogging, branding, influence, SEO, things like that, right? For a plumber, it would be, maybe around the different areas of the home. It would be around the types of services that they do. For a consultant, for a management consultant, it would be all the different ways that they help their clients. So we'll just call those categories, okay? All right. Then inside each of these main circles, here's the three components. First is questions. All right. Second is SEO, keywords, and third is your stages. Okay. Here's what I mean by each of those. I'm going to walk you through each one. So your categories drive all of these, and we're going to be answering questions around each one. All right. Okay. So we have pieces on each of these, right? There's three components to each one. Okay. We'll draw this out. All right. So inside, let's walk through what these look like. So starting with your categories, remember we're working back from those. First are questions. Questions are, this is really about what it's all about your audience, all right? So if you, we'll just start, there's three types. There's FAQs. Those are questions, that people are always asking you, right? Frequently asked questions, FAQs. And then there's what I call SAQs. Those are questions people should be asking. And then there are things like fears, concerns, aspirations. It's the motivators. It's the triggers, okay? All right. So this is not about you. It's all about your audience. So these FAQs, if you're a consultant, it is things about look at your categories and work back with each one. So if you're a marketing consultant and one of your categories is content marketing, one of the questions I always get is, what should I blog about? How long should my posts be? It could even be questions about your services. How much do you charge? What does your process look like? Have you worked with clients like me? Those types of things, right? Then there's SAQs. These are the questions that you like. A lot of times people ask questions and they aren't necessarily the right ones. So you want to help them ask the right questions and train them to ask the right questions to you and to their and to your competitors to give you an advantage, okay? So it's not about so if someone asks, how long should my blog post be? It's really not about that. It's more about, what do I need to say to make this article or this post or this piece of content effective to establish a goal, right? So those are SAQs, and then triggers are those things like fears, concerns. They are the, what are the things that are getting them to act, that move them into the next stage, all right? So those are, we'll just color those. Those are FAQs, SAQs, and triggers, okay? Awesome. All right, so now let's talk about SEO. So the first one was for your audience, the next one's for Google, okay? And SEO is not as important as it used to be, but it is still extremely important if you want to rank and get organic traffic. So what we are looking at is our top existing keywords, okay? And then our long tail keywords, and then our competitor keywords. All right, so our top existing keywords are things that we're already ranking for. If you're a new site, you won't be ranking for any, but what the goal is for these is you want to continue to build on them and make them better, okay? These are things that a lot of people will write an article and leave it forever. You want to continue to improve on those. Okay, the long tail keywords these are your main keywords that everybody thinks of when they think of keywords. The difference between long tail and everything else is these have 3 or more words in a phrase, a key phrase. So it's not just great plumbers, it's great, great plumbers for kitchen leaks in Dallas, something like that. So it is being super specific, because the more specific you are, the less room for ambiguity and the higher the purchase intent is. I have a great article on our site on high intent keywords I can link to below this if you want to learn more about that. The next one, so that's long tail. The next one is competitor keywords. So yeah, you have keywords you're ranking for them, but you also want to overtake your competitors, and that's also something you to really be thinking about. And so what you're doing is using tools like Ahrefs or Moz or SEMrush to figure out what your top competitors are ranking for, so you can create better pieces of content and outrank them, okay? And then the last piece is stages. And in there we have early, middle, and late stages. So you can also think about that as oblivious is early, afflicted is the middle, and informed is late. The stages are it's an oversimplified way to look at where is the customer in your sales cycle. All right, so you want to figure out where they are, so somebody in the early stage is not going to get the same type of content or message as somebody in the middle or late stage, and vice versa. Okay, so an early stage content, early stage content person right here is going to be somebody who doesn't really realize they have a problem yet. They aren't even really looking for a solution. They know they have pain, but they just don't know what the cause of it is yet. And what they need is a way to for you to show them what's really going on, which brings us to the middle stage. That's things like where you answer questions like what and why questions. What's happening? Why is this a problem? Okay, that could be top 10 lists. It could be ways for them to get to know you, like videos like this, things like that. I have a big PDF that lists like each one of these stages and a ton of content ideas for each one. I'll also put a link to that below this video for you if you want to learn more about this. The middle stage is, again, that's the afflicted stage. That's where they know they have a problem. They are in pain. They're in compare mode. They're in shop mode. This is one of the best stages you can get people in because they are in the middle of looking at what their options are, and they are just about ready to buy, okay? So the middle stage is really answering those how and who questions, okay? And then the late stage is right when you close them, and then it bleeds over into once they become a customer, turning those clients into advocates, okay? So the middle stage is really showing people content about, like I said, the who and the how. That's where you're showing comparisons, you're showing giving the how-tos. You are giving them as much education that they like, everything that they need to make a well-informed decision. And then with the late stage, it's the when and where. That is things to maybe reduce customer support costs, help people become better customers, use your product or service better, and even things like reviews and buyer guides for the very tail end of your purchase cycle. All right. So now that we have all of these, let's look at how we're going to use it. So remember, we have these categories, and you start in this category, and you can prioritize these different three dimensions by what your goals are. So if your goal is to provide supportive material that helps new and existing customers, then I would prioritize your questions first. So maybe, remember again, it could be how to create a piece of content that we said an FAQ was how long should it be, but it's really not about that. It's about it achieving the right goals for you and helping people. And then you take that, and that could be the question. You answer it in a post, and you figure out what keywords best go with that, like how to write a blog post maybe, right? Or how to write a business or B2B blog post to get more specific, to tap into our long-tail keywords. If we really wanted to get crazy, we would check on our competitors and see what they have to hit that as well, right? We want to make sure that we don't have any top existing keywords. Then we would choose our stage, okay? And we would say, okay, this is really for somebody they're going to be probably in the middle stage because they know they have a problem. If it was the early stage, it would be, what are the best types of blog content, like best types of blog post formats, or most effective types of posts. That could be, they could just be browsing, they could be interested, but it shows less buying intent. So you see how we hit every single one of these? Most people, like we said, just start with one and end with one, but we want to hit each of those. If your goal is to get ranked in search, then prioritize SEO first, and then bounce around to these other stages. If it's to really create a very intentional funnel that you use for an email sequence, you guessed it, we're going to start with stages and then move and make sure that that is relevant by tapping into our audience's feedback. And if it's going to be an article, then we do care about SEO, and we would make sure it has the right keywords. So that is our one of our methods for creating content. And just remember, the more of these pieces you can tap into, the more powerful your content and your strategy will become. So prioritize it by taking inventory on what you have. And if you're not sure, I like to start with the stages piece, because you can start with that, and then you can move to the keywords, experiment with what works best for you. And again, it starts with your categories and the goals that you have for the content. And I would love to hear from you. if you want, or how do you create content? Is it similar to this? Is it by guessing? I would love to hear. And again, if you want those resources that I mentioned, the link should be below and you can grab them. They are free, and I'd love to hear your feedback on them. Thanks.